The moment, on August 8th, 2026, in Pristina, a political drama unfolded. Opposition MP Time Kadriaj threw eggs at Prime Minister Albin Kurti, shouting, "Shame on you." The incident, in the chamber where Kosovo declared independence, suspended the session. Kurti, leading a caretaker government after recent elections, downplayed it, but the underlying deadlock was real. His party won, but without a majority, a coalition failed to form. For Kosovo, a young nation, this uncertainty was deeply impactful. The event chart, cast for noon in Pristina, shows the ascendant, describing the event's feel, at 29 degrees Libra. Libra signifies balance, but 29 degrees is the anaretic degree, the very end of a sign, signaling a conclusion. The session began balanced, but hit its limit. The descendant, governing opposition, was at 29 degrees Aries, a sign of confrontation. The eggs flew precisely at this astrological point between order and breakdown. Inside the chamber, the moon, representing public mood, and Mars, representing conflict, were both in Gemini, the sign of debate. This points to a conflict expressed through words, even when eggs became the message. Mercury, planet of messages, was tightly linked to Mars, creating an abrasive connection between communication and action. Three factors made this moment especially charged. First, the Sun, representing leadership, Mercury, representing debate, and Mars, representing initiative, were all void, of course, on August 8th. This means they had made their last major connection in their signs and were drifting. Void planets signify stalling, not resolution. The session suspended, and the deadlock remained. Second, a total solar eclipse was due just 4 days later, on August 12th, at 20 degrees Leo. For Pristina, this eclipse placed the Sun and Moon on the descendant, the point of open enemies, and Uranus, the planet of shocks, on the IC, the nation's foundation. Eclipse described pressures unfolding over months. This one signaled a jolt to Kosovo's institutional foundations, with pressure from the opposition. The egging was a prelude to this larger shift. Third, rare outer planet aspects became exact in late July. Uranus trine Pluto on July 18th, Jupiter opposite Pluto on July 20th, and Neptune sextile Pluto on July 25th. These represent slow generational currents. The Uranus-Pluto trine indicates revolutionary change flowing beneath the surface. The Jupiter-Pluto opposition is a polarizing standoff between expansion and concentrated power. Together, they describe deep shifts underway, with Kosovo's crisis a local manifestation of this wider global churning. A cradle configuration of Jupiter, Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus formed from June 25th to August 14th. This structure buffered the Jupiter-Pluto standoff. The division is real, but the surrounding planets offered ways to manage it, even without easy solutions. Fixed stars added nuance. The South Node, representing release, sat with Regulus, the royal star of leadership, whose ancient caveat warns against pride. The Moon with Rigel indicated public ambition. Mars with Betelgeuse pointed to bold recognition. Kadriaj got her moment. The Barbault Cyclic Index, measuring global tension, was at 851 on August 8th, indicating a relatively eased global mood. This suggests Kosovo's crisis is contained, not a spark for wider conflict. What it touches. Kosovo's own chart, set for its declaration of independence on February 17, 2008, reveals a deeper narrative. On August 8th, Jupiter was precisely opposite Kosovo's Mercury. Jupiter represents expansion and law, while Mercury represents communications and debate. This opposition means these forces are pulling against each other. The nation's capacity for negotiation had expanded beyond its ability to contain it. In a deadlocked parliament where eggs flew, this perfectly described a conversation too big for the institutions. Mars, the planet of conflict, was in a smooth trine aspect to Kosovo's Sun, which represents its national identity. Easy here doesn't mean comfortable, it means the conflict flowed readily. The challenge to Kurti came almost inevitably. More tellingly, the transiting moon, representing public mood, was exactly trine Kosovo's Chiron. Chiron is the wound that never fully heals. For Kosovo, this wound is tied to its contested statehood. The public mood on August 8th directly touched that wound. The egg landed on the question of whether parliament can even function. Kosovo's vitality lens shows a nation driven by air, which means thinking, talking, and debating. It lacks fire, which is self-starting motivation. This means it needs external sparks for momentum. In a deadlock, internal fuel for resolution is scarce. The sixth house, governing daily services, has a Capricorn cusp ruled by Saturn and contains 4 planets. This suggests daily governance is heavy and constrained, a burden felt by civil servants when ministries can't act. 3 planets were retrograde, Saturn in Aries, meaning the state apparatus is reviewing its foundations, Neptune in Aries, meaning collective ideals are reflecting on illusions, and Pluto in Aquarius, meaning deep power transformations are occurring beneath the surface. With these in reverse, everything is under review. Now to Curti himself, born March 24, 1975. Without a birth time, his personal chart angles are unreliable, but planetary placements still speak volumes. The tightest transit to Curti's chart on August 8th was Uranus square, his natal Lilith. Uranus signifies sudden shocks, while Lilith represents raw, uncontainable energy. A square is a tense angle. The egg throwing by a woman in Parliament was a literal manifestation, an unexpected shock to Curti via uncontainable feminine energy. The sky doesn't cause actions, but it describes the quality of the moment. The transiting sun was also opposite Curti's natal Mars. The day's energy directly confronted his drive and fighting spirit. Curti, a former protest leader, is defined by his Mars. The opposition was both literal and astrological, yet transiting Jupiter was in a supportive sextile to his natal Pluto, linking expansion with deep power. This quiet aspect suggests Curti might gain leverage despite public humiliation. The synastry between Kosovo and Curti, or how their charts interact, reveals their complex relationship. Kosovo's Saturn, representing structure, trines Curti's Venus, representing values, showing a productive link. He is bound to the state, not its enemy. But Kosovo's Saturn also opposes his Lilith, meaning the same structure that supports him also restricts his rebellious side. He embodies the tension of a protest politician who becomes the establishment. Most striking is Kosovo's Chiron, the wound conjunct Curti's Mars, his drive. His energy is tied to the national wound. When he acts, he touches that sore spot. The egging exemplifies this. His presence activates the wound, and the wound reacts. Kosovo's energy chart shows a manifesting generator design, which is self-contained, responsive, and capable of operating independently. Curti's chart is also a manifesting generator, but with a split definition, meaning his energy requires connection with others to feel whole. This creates an honest tension for a protest politician who needs coalition to function. The connection chart for Kosovo and Curti reveals a crucial gap. Together, they gain a channel for saying yes to discovery. But critically, neither chart has fixed energy in the will center, which governs commitment. The pairing can energize and discover, but it cannot naturally make binding promises. Government formation is precisely about binding promises. The deadlock lives here, a structural absence of the energy needed for coalition building. How it rolls forward. The coming period is marked by 2 eclipses and charged lunar charts for Pristina. The August 12th total solar eclipse, with Uranus on the foundation point and luminaries on the opposition, is the first major marker. It signals weeks of institutional disruption originating from across the political divide. Look for sudden developments in coalition talks, such as walkouts or unexpected alliances. Immediately after the eclipse, a stellium, which is a cluster of planets, forms in Leo from August 9th to 23. With Jupiter, Mercury, and the Sun, attention, resources, and debate will concentrate on leadership. The question of who leads will only intensify. On August 28th, a partial lunar eclipse at 4 degrees Pisces places Uranus on the MC, the government point, for Pristina. This again signifies shock or reversal for the government's public position. If the caretaker government has been drifting, this eclipse will push towards a sudden shift. Between the eclipses, Mars enters Cancer on August 11th. Mars, the planet of conflict, in Cancer, the sign of home and emotional security, means conflict will be internal and domestic, staying within the assembly and parties, not spilling into the streets. Families in Pristina will brace for more internal political strife. On August 31st, Jupiter trines Saturn, a political economic marker occurring every 2 decades. Jupiter, representing expansion, and Saturn, representing structure, work together in this harmonious trine. This is a highly constructive aspect for growth and structural agreement. It's the strongest candidate for breaking the deadlock productively, that it arrives after the second eclipse into a disrupted landscape. September brings 2 lunar charts for Pristina, with Saturn, the planet of the state and restriction, on the ascendant. When Saturn rises in a national chart, structures and limitations are front and center. The political class may hit an institutional wall, such as a constitutional deadline or the exhaustion of the caretaker mandate. The Barbault Cyclic Index continues to rise toward its late November peak, meaning the global mood is easing. Kosovo's crisis is unlikely to escalate regionally in this climate. This global calm offers a small but real mercy. What astrology cannot tell us is whether there will be another snap election, who wins, or which coalition forms. It describes pressure and climate, not specific outcomes. The lack of will center energy in the Kosovo-Kurti pairing suggests commitment is the bottleneck. But whether that bottleneck breaks through negotiation, a new vote, or simple exhaustion is a human decision. Summary. The egging of Albin Kurti on August 8, 2026, aligns with an astrological picture of a political moment at its breaking point, with void-of-course planets, an anaretic ascendant, and eclipses pressing on Kosovo's institutions. Expect sudden fractures within parties, not just between them, as the August 12th total solar eclipse places Uranus, the planet of shocks, on Kosovo's foundational point. Watch for abrupt shifts in the caretaker government's public stance, since the August 28th lunar eclipse puts Uranus on Pristina's government angle. Anticipate conflict to remain domestic, as Mars entering Cancer on August 11th channels unrest inward to the assembly and coalition talks. Look for a constructive opening in late August, where Jupiter trines Saturn on August 31st offers a strong opportunity for structural agreement amidst disruption. Prepare for institutional constraints in late September and early October, when 2 consecutive lunar charts place Saturn, the planet of the state, on Pristina's ascendant. Note a specific challenge in coalition talks, a lack of promise-making capacity. The Kosovo-Kurti connection chart reveals an absence of will center energy, crucial for binding agreements. The stars depict a young state whose political class, fueled by argument, lacks the capacity for deep commitment. A season of institutional pressure will test whether that can be found. Recent history and where this is heading. The egging of the Kosovo Prime Minister is less a random fight and more a jagged symptom of a slow, structural breakdown sweeping the globe. Currently, Saturn is meeting Neptune in the sign of Aries, an alignment that demands the destruction of outdated foundations before a true identity can rise. For the Prime Minister, this feels like running headfirst into a wall of smoke and mirrors, trying to enforce concrete order on a reality dissolving into confusion. This profound moving undercurrent connects disparate global events, binding nations to the same struggle for authenticity. Looking ahead, the total solar eclipse of August 12th promises more of this friction, as Leo stirs the pot of egos and sudden flare-ups. Later, when Jupiter harmonizes with Saturn in late August, the symbolism suggests a hard-won attempt to tie the loose ends of these severed structures into something permanent. Before you go, it sounds like a heavy season ahead, If the political storm in Kosovo has got you feeling like you're watching the same argument repeat without any resolution, an annual transit forecast from a Viastaro reader might untangle the knots for you. It looks at the month ahead, highlighting exactly when the skies will push for agreement and when they demand you wait it out. And if part of your worry is knowing which way to turn when everything feels stuck, a standard tarot reading using the Decision 2 Paths spread can act as your compass. It maps out exactly what you risk on the tried and true route versus the one that might shake things up, giving you the clarity to choose with your feet rather than your fears. Both are gentle ways to navigate these choppy waters and are waiting for you right here at Viastaro. A word from the channel. Subscribing is a humble favour for a channel this size, but it makes the kettle always stay hot in return. If you've been watching an event unfold and want us to look at it, do leave a comment. I'll hand you over to Marcus now to take this story to the cards. Thank you, Maisie, for that rich astrological groundwork. Let us take this story to the cards now, exploring what they add to Kosovo's political crossroads. This Decision 2 Paths reading uses the Smith-Waite deck, covering August the 10th through the 16th. We are weighing two core choices facing the nation's leadership after a rupture. The situation/decision, Knight of Wands. The core energy here is one of swift, impulsive action, a negative card hinting at alienation. The Knight of Wands, ruled by expansive Jupiter in fiery Sagittarius, represents motion without clear direction. It perfectly captures the moment after the egging. A sudden, dramatic event has occurred, and now the question is whether to charge ahead recklessly or pause and recalibrate. Path A, Development, Page of Cups. Mise je win. Mise path offers reflection and a new, emotional approach. Ruled by flowing water, the Page of Cups suggests a fresh, perhaps idealistic message. It speaks to renewed diplomatic outreach or a contemplative pause, asking leaders to consider service, much like the reflective energy of Neptune retrograde. Path A, Challenge, Four of Swords. The cost of this reflective path is enforced stillness, a retreat that feels like exile. The Four of Swords, tied to Jupiter in Libra, indicates a necessary but difficult period of vigilance and waiting. The challenge is enduring this political tomb without mistaking a strategic pause for defeat. Path A, Outcome, Ten of Swords, reversed. Ultimately, this path avoids total defeat. The reversal of the Ten of Swords suggests that while difficulty remains, advantage and some success can still be found. Choosing the contemplative path can avert a complete institutional collapse, offering a qualified victory through wise administration, echoing the potential of the upcoming Jupiter-Saturn trine. Path B, Development, Four of Cups. This path begins with weariness and discontent, a refusal to engage with options. Ruled by the moon in Cancer, the Four of Cups describes offers met with aversion. It is a government turning inward, ignoring solutions from the opposition, much like the domestic conflict that Mars in Cancer will bring. Path B, Challenge, Queen of Swords. The friction comes from a severe, sorrowful clarity, a widow's energy signifying separation and harsh truth. The Queen of Swords, tied to airy intellect, embodies facing the consequences of sterility. It suggests mourning for what is lost when blunt, uncompromising judgment prevails. Path B, Outcome, Nine of Pentacles, reversed. This path leads to deception and voided projects. The reversed Nine of Pentacles, an earth card of material security gone wrong, points to bad faith and collapse. It warns that choosing discontent will fail to secure lasting stability, with roguery undermining the nation's foundations. Summary. Taken together, this spread draws a clear contrast. The Knight of Wands sets the scene with impulsive energy after a rupture, and the two paths diverge sharply from there. Path A, through the Page of Cups, the Four of Swords, and the Ten of Swords reversed, offers reflection and a qualified escape from collapse. Path B, through the Four of Cups, the Queen of Swords, and the reverse Nine of Pentacles, warns of isolation, sterility, and instability. The cards whisper that the contemplative road, though difficult, holds the steadier ground. A word from the channel. Thank you for joining me as we decoded the story written in the stars for this time. As a newer channel, a subscription genuinely helps us reach more people than we could on our own. What would you like to see next? Drop a comment below. Thanks again for watching.